Oh, before we begin, I want to confirm, yes, Derby Nate, I am here.
Uh,
It was a comment on one of my stories.
okay. So it's just this session will just be you and me, Master Weaver, because you missed out on session 22, and that turned out to be a pretty big deal. And uh, honestly, Master Weaver, full disclosure, this session has me quite nervous. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. And what I've prepared is pretty crazy. At least I think so. I don't know what'll happen when you go into it. No plan survives contact with the enemy.
Wait, so I'm an enemy now?
No, not well. I mean, I guess some DMs would consider the players enemies, but I'm more using it as a turn of phrase. No DM plan survives contact with the players. I just figured I didn't need to clarify.
You didn't, I just.
Yeah, jokes. Okay, let's actually get started. Previously in Dragon's Maw. Following the Slayer base crisis, the Dragon Maulers got to rest for the evening and take things easy for the next morning, save for a bit of infighting. But while Powderkeg was interrogating Tibbs and Craggy was chomping on Pony's legs, Dr. Javolt was nowhere to be found. Now, out of character, Master Weaver was unfortunately and unexpectedly absent from the session, but in character, we're going to go back in time a bit and find out what he was up to. So, I guess to start this thing, Javolt, we're starting this around, I guess, in the morning after dealing with the whole Slayer base thing, after resolving that situation. Uh, is there anything you would be doing the night before, or just getting some rest?
I would, yeah, he would be just getting rest, yeah.
All right, cool. So, in the morning, some of the Dragon Maulers are up. They're in the mess hall trying to cook uh, stew and scones and failing a bit. But as you get up, I guess, for whatever your morning routine is, uh,
Unscrew the goggles from my skull, start wiping off them inside parts, and then screw them back in.
alrighty then. Uh,
Also maintenance on the cybernetic forearm and the electrocape. Just maintenance.
alright. So while you're maintaining your cybernetic parts, um, there is a knock on the door to your quarters.
Yes, what is it?
Uh, the,
Hello.
the door opens and in walks one of the scribes that you might recognize as Jem.
Oh,
This mayor that was the one who gave you the lead on Radio Cradle Tower the last time you were here.
Oh, yes, you.
Yes. Hello,
Hello again.
Dr. Revolt, right?
Indeed.
Um, do you know anything about computers?
I would say yes.
Okay. Would you mind, we kind of want a second opinion on some stuff we're dealing with, so, would you mind?
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I suppose I should help you young folk out.
Well, this is also from the head scribe Smoky Ward, but he's a bit less enthusiastic about asking for your help, but, I mean, it's mostly my idea, I guess.
Smoky Ward?
Yes.
Smoky Ward.
Head scribe.
Yes. I'm going to roll history to see if Javolt might remember Smoky Ward from anywhere.
He was actually in the session 12. Okay. Roll history, yes.
That would be a 17. I'm trying to see if it pierces through his amnesia or if they knew each other before or anything.
You vaguely recall that some members of the party met with the head scribe, but you don't even recall if you ever met him personally.
Oh, well. Javolt shrugs and says, very well. So how long has this Mr. Ward been the head scribe? He starts following after Jem.
Oh, Jem leads the way through the halls as you pass through some, the halls and pass by the rooms of, the base, seems sort of both very calm as soldiers are trying to, rest after the big ordeal, the blockade, but also a bit tense, as if, the Steel Rangers are worried about, there being some kind of relapse of the conflict. And Jem she is leading you along, says, "Oh, as long as I can remember, certainly. Uh, well, I suppose when I was just an initiate to the scribes, uh, Smoky Ward was like right below, but then like it was like a year after that he became head scribe because the other one was too old and stepped down. I mean, basically for a very long time.
So that would be about, he looks Jim over, about 15 years?
It's more like 11, but
Ah, you're very, you act very mature
uh,
for your age.
she roll persuasion to make that not sound as creepy.
All right. 23.
Okay, yeah, it's somehow you manage to you manage to get your inflection in such a way that it sounds more like a compliment and less like you were kind of checking her out, and she just she blushes slightly, but then shakes it off and gets serious again. But
Off the record, Javolt was not checking her out.
I understand. I don't honestly believe Javolt's like that. It's just that sometimes you kind of come across as a certain way.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
There is the image of the sort of,
Old cybernetic donkey.
yeah, who, is a bit more obsessed with young females than he should be. Not a true image, but a fairly sort of common, comical character that Javolt sometimes passingly resembles, but I don't actually believe it. It's just this trope. Anyway.
Hmm.
So, Jem, as she leads you down some stairwells, says, "So, I guess to explain, the when the Loyalist Steel Rangers tried to take over the base, it wasn't just assaulting the higher ups. They also tried a cyber warfare attack on the computer servers."
Cyber warfare. The invisible war of information.
Well, yeah, mainly just computer programs duking it out. But the good news is we think we managed to clear out all of the virus that they used. The problem is the system's still kind of acting weird, and it's got Smoky Ward worried.
Weird in what way?
Well, it's a bunch of little things. Some of the admin and user credentials have changed. There are access logs with no explanation. And the task manager has these every so often there's this really weird processes and tasks coming and going just randomly. And, outwardly, just us using it, the system works and behaves fine, but under the surface, it seems like nothing's fine at all.
Oh my.
And because, the computer systems here not only deal with just information and intelligence, but also control the systems of the base, like, the defenses, the security doors, and the turrets.
Ah, that would be worrying.
And so, if there is something, bad about this, if the virus is still around and we...
A quick question. Did the Steel Rangers make this base?
Yes, long ago it was made by a joint between Vault Tech and the Ministry of Technology.
Right. Voltec? Voltec.
Vault Tech, yes.
Vault Tech.
Stable Tech, right. Somehow I got confused.
Yes, I think Vault Tech was one of their names. They changed it to Stable Tech at some time. I'm not sure. It was something about corporations or something.
I honestly don't know why I thought it was called the other way. Anyway, Stable Tech and
I'm keeping Volt Tech. That's going to be the name of everything I do. Volt Tech.
As in VOLT?
Yep.
That won't get confusing at all. Okay. I'm not sure if I said that in or... Yes, yeah. I know. I'm not sure if I said that last bit in or out of character. Okay. So by the time you finish up that discussion, you've reached the computer hubs, which is this kind of this sort of grid-like crisscross of all these computer terminals and lining all the outer walls are these server towers that are all blinking and whatnot. And it's not terribly populated. It's just a couple scribes and then this very much more decorated scribe who's just running around giving orders. Like, get those cables connected. I want another scan of drive F. And then you finally come in, and this very tired looking stallion just gives you a very begrudged look and says, "Ah, the beloved outsider again. What do you want?" And Jem raises a hoof and says, we agreed we wanted to get his opinion." And Smoky Ward just rolls his eyes and says, "Oh, right. Okay, what's your name again?"
I am Dr. Javolt. Or maybe Javolt. I'm never quite sure if the J is silent.
He sees how that line of questioning is going to turn out, and he just shakes his head and says, "Do you know anything about computers?"
Why, certainly.
Well, excellent. You want to take maybe, Jem, I don't want to let these friggin'...
Okay, Javolt shoves him aside and goes to one of the terminals and types in HELLO.
Well, you're not logged in yet, so, you're typing...
No, wait, give it a second.
And nothing seems to happen.
Alright, that might be a problem. Maybe I should log in. It's always best to check before you log in, because that might be different.
There's a stunned silence from the scribes around you, but eventually they just kind of take it in stride, and Jem shares with you sort of a guest account that they've set up with very, very limited security credentials.
Alright. Okay, this time Javolt types in, "Hello, is there anyone here?"
Well, it's not... as you enter into the command line, you get back unrecognized command hello. It seems to be mainly you've reached a command line interface.
Right. What code are you using, by the way?
Smoky Ward just says that's proprietary, we're not sharing with you. And Jem just kind of shrugs and says it's something Ministry Tech came up with. I think it's when we've made some changes over the years. I think it's C based. I know that much.
All right. Javolt is going to try to communicate with the computer, since apparently I don't know anything about coding in real life anymore. Should I roll Arcana for that?
Yeah, roll Arcana.
Alrighty then.
Since there's some aspect of computers in this universe
What
are based on wizardry.
Now there it is. Oh, that's a natural 20.
Oh, damn. Okay. So basically, with digging around, you've basically get a map of the entire server database. There are 8 major drives labeled A through H, and there's a mix of both data and programs here. Drive A is mainly dealing with military records, personnel records, and active agents and whatnot. Drive B is sort of command center intel. Drive C is about non-military personnel like the scribes and whatnot. Drive D is for research and development data that the Steel Rangers are keeping track of. And with your natural 20, you break through a lot of their security protocols almost accidentally. Drive E seems to be mainly sort of a software hub where they keep most of their tools and applications, programming libraries and whatnot. Drive F is the personal folders for every Steel Ranger user in the base who has their own little small section of the server to themselves for personal files. Drive G seems to be a game server of all things. And Drive H is actually the drive with the most security and has sort of base controls and top secret files.
Well, that tells me a lot about what's here. Javolt opens up Drive E and tries to see what software is being used at the moment.
Drive E. Right now there's it's just these are just folders you're navigating. It just contains sort of the home of a bunch of executables that kind of have most of them have a lot of alphanumeric gibberish file names, and then Smokey Ward kind of looks over your shoulder and says, "That's a little odd."
Yes, indeed.
We actually have a very strict naming convention for our programs. What are these gibberish?
Javolt closes Drive E and looks at Drive B.
B, which is the command center.
Yeah.
You find there's reports on previous missions, the most recent intelligence reports.
Yeah, he's looking at the names of the files.
The names of the files follow a very strict sort of date and time pattern. They don't seem to have changed very much, although there are some reports from their folders for reports that were delivered over the course of last night. It looks like almost by the minute, a folder for every like 10 or 30 minutes, and inside is just binary, just unreadable files.
Right. This is probably not what I'm thinking it is, but just to make sure, Javolt checks through each drive one at a time.
Each drive?
Yep.
Okay.
Starting from A, ending with H.
Okay.
Yeah.
Drive A, military personnel, records and reports and statistics on every single active military officer in the base, as well
Again,
as...
he's just looking to see when and where the data exchange would have changed.
When it would have changed.
Should I roll for that?
I'm not entirely sure what you're asking for is the problem.
Well, I know the
phrasing.
software naming conventions changed, and now there's bonus command reports, so he's looking for things that suggest somebody else is using the system.
Oh, for that you'd want
Somebody
you want
being...
the access logs, which would be back in C actually.
All right.
No, sorry, B. No.
B.
No, there's.
No, he's looking for something like the computer itself spontaneously started.
The computer started, as
Yeah.
in automated processes. Well, it doesn't seem like there's some log files in Drive E where the software development is, but it doesn't seem to be a precedent for tracking any sort of ongoing processes. It seems like every program here is designed to be made and run by a user and not by the ongoing operating system.
Which one of these drives is the least used, would you say?
Smokey Ward thinks for a bit. Jem immediately answers, that would probably be... Oh, that's probably Drive C.
Really?
It's just for the files on the non-military personnel and,
Javolt is going to look for any extra files in Drive C. Did I talk over you?
I think I heard you. You're going to check over extra files in Drive C?
Yeah, anything that... He's thinking that's might be where it's sitting, because it's got the biggest room there.
You actually don't find a whole lot that's out of place here. No executables, just data, and it doesn't seem to have been moved or messed with very recently.
So there isn't actually much change in Drive C?
Not a whole lot, no.
Is there any change?
There's a text file just kind of sitting at the root of Drive C that says that one of the scribes making a note there that there seems to have been some database corruption there, but it's been reformatted back to the old and it shouldn't be there anymore.
Okay, just for the heck of it, he opens Drive G.
Drive G. Here you find just a few games folders. One is Space War with an exclamation point. One is called Pong. One is called Thermonuclear War, and one's called Chess.
Somebody had a sense of humor.
Yeah, Smokey Ward looks at the contents of the drive and says, "Hey, who put that there?" And make a perception check, Javolt.
Alrighty then. What's my perception again? Oh boy.
It's not hugely critical.
It's a 13.
You think you hear what might have been sort of a chuckle behind you, but when you look, Jem is totally straight-faced.
I'm just saying, this all seems rather strange to have.
Well,
I mean, Pong, I can understand. Just 2. Space War, iffy. Thermonuclear War, not in good taste.
well, Jem kind of speaks up and covers her mouth with her for a bit as she realizes she just kind of outed herself, as Smokey Ward gives her a glare. And then Jem, resigned to her fate, says, "Just try running Thermonuclear War."
No, I'm pretty sure that will just...
It's honestly fine.
It would be under normal situations.
All it does is it prints out a message that says, a strange move, the only winning game is not to play. How about a nice game of chess?
Is there any way for me to look at the code of this program before I open it?
Yeah, there's a code inspector back in Drive E that you can use on the program there.
Okay, Javolt is going to use the code inspector on itself first to make sure it's not corrupted.
You're using the code inspector to examine the source code of the code inspector.
Yep.
First you'll probably want to make a copy of that.
All right.
And then use the second one to examine the first one.
All right.
And then as you start looking at the code, you start seeing weird things happening. As you look at the code in the inspector program, code starts changing in very slight ways in front of your eyes.
Oh dear.
And just sort of a steady rhythm, not particularly quickly, but just a few definitions here, a few extra lines here and there every, minute or so.
Oh boy.
And do you want to check anything else with this program?
Yeah, the thermonuclear war thing.
Thermonuclear war, also kind of changing a little bit at the exact same rate.
Oh.
Doesn't look like it does. Thermonuclear war is actually a really tiny program that doesn't do very much.
Yeah.
It just a printout thing, but even that one's starting to kind of expand a little bit and grow.
Yeah, Javolt is going to, there's a search software that he's been using to get to all these files, right?
Actually, with the natural 20, you basically were able to, figure out how to navigate, and you've basically kind of figured out how to map them all out.
Well, is there search software, for...
Back in Drive E, where all the specialized programs are.
Yeah, Javolt's going to examine that.
Examine the search. The search program in Drive E is doing something rather interesting. It seems like there are some added changes, and then they get removed again, and then the same changes get added again, and then they get removed. Someone's fighting over it or something.
Right, has anyone, how do I word this? Oh yes, has anyone been checking to see where and when the changes are happening? Not what they are, just where and when.
Well, I mean, Smokey Ward just sighs and gives you a look and says, "Of course we've been checking. And other than these sort of, small random attempts, there hasn't been anything huge." And one of the scribes over at one of the adjacent terminals says, "You might want to take a look at this." And that particular scribe is looking over the access logs and refreshing the page, and the logs are getting changed like 100 new entries every time he refreshes from all across the system, every single drive. Lots of programs, not every program, but lots of them. Very,
Oh,
very
boy.
tiny, very few bits exchanged here and there, but almost a constant stream of changes now on the access log.
Are any of these access logs saying that they are being generated from the terminals in the room? Is the logging saying these people are accessing anything from the terminals in the room?
Doesn't seem to come from any particular point. The sort of, user pointer just kind of points to null.
It's in the circuitry.
Smoky Ward just his jaws kind of drop now and says, that was not the case a few hours ago.
I'm pretty sure it was.
No, we were
recognize
checking
it.
all night. We were just scrubbing this system after the cleaning out the virus, and it was fine, perfectly fine. Just before
You were
dawn.
looking at the files. You were not looking at the connection.
We were looking at the logs. Thank you very much.
Not the logs. I'm talking about the space between the files.
What do you mean the space between the files?
Do you not know anything about data coding? There's always an empty space before you upload anything.
Jem raises her hoof and says it's not actually empty space, it's just undefined, bits.
Well, someone's defining it now. Or something.
But we're looking at the spaces that are defined and seeing how they're changing, and Jem suddenly realizes exactly what you're talking about and hops onto a terminal herself. And she just takes the code inspector and starts just pointing at just random arrays that outside the file boundaries, and starts seeing that a lot of bytes there are changing too.
Yes, indeed. I suppose
Jem steps back, logs off the terminal, steps back, and says, "This could be really bad."
Yes, it could be. Is there any way to see what the programming between is doing?
Not with anything we have, says Jem. Unless
Well,
this is a wild idea, but if we maybe connected the VR gear into Smoky Ward just breaks out laughing. What? Are you?
Wait a minute. You actually kept virtual reality gear?
Well, Smoky Ward is practically just howling on the floor.
Didn't that drive like 50% of some old city insane? Or was it only 30%?
Jem, slightly embarrassed at Smoky Ward's reaction, says we have one set that hasn't seen a whole lot of use because, well, we just don't have much in the way of software for it, other than basic training programs, and they're mostly for training ponies how to use guns, which aren't very useful in the mob, but we do have a VR set. And I'm thinking it has a certain, the simulation program has a certain adaptability to it, certain procedural generation. I'm thinking if we maybe connect that to the Smoky Ward just gets up and goes, "Are you seriously suggesting that we connect the VR equipment to the servers and send some pony in there into that cyberspace? Are you actually serious right now?"
That is rather ridiculous. Sending a pony in, since you lot have seemed to miss this entire situation. Yes.
It's a developing situation, thank you, says Smoky Ward. We haven't missed it, it's just, this is a new development, for Pete's sake. How many times do we have to explain this?
It's a new development that I managed to.
Yes, congratulations, he starts clubbing his hooves together. Good for you.
Yes, now, I suppose that was a little arrogant of me. I apologize.
Now look, you got any other better ideas than this crazy scheme?
Well, I suppose I could go to some... You have equipment, armories, and jerry rigs. No, that wouldn't work. Maybe I should go to my room and get my sprite box, and maybe she can help.
Smoky Ward.
Okay, I'm going to roll deception.
Persuasion is what you're trying to roll.
That was a 16.
Smokey Ward does not look entirely convinced. It is like, yeah, sure, just get your sprite
She
bot.
was a hacker before all this.
Who was?
My sprite bot.
I'm sorry? What?
Have you not met Igor? Have I not introduced you to Igor?
I suddenly really want to do anything but meet Igor.
Well then, you better get out that VR equipment.
Not like that.
See, while we're standing around...
No, there are serious problems, Smokey Ward says, with connecting the VR to the database. First of all, that connecting that is probably all it's going to result in is just white noise. The procedural generation data program's not going to be able to handle that, and it's just going to end up this mess, the static of visuals and sound that could overload a pony's senses. I mean, there have been problems well-documented problems with VR before, and you're suggesting sending a pony out into just raw data.
Well, I suppose I should mention this. You have heard of what happened with Smog, right?
Jem says yes. The blood dragon. You managed to destroy it, and now we don't have to worry about the blood curse.
Yes, about that. You do know about the concept of soul gems, right?
There's a bit of a silence in the room.
Technically, Smog himself is dead. But I may possibly have done some experimentation with a gem, and it may have left an effect on me, so I should be fine!
Smokey Ward face hoofs very hard. Let me
And
get
besides,
this.
I'm already crazy. I can't possibly get any crazier.
We're talking about epilepsy times 100 for one thing. We're talking
epilepsy. Is that all you're worried about?
And going deaf, and
Okay, deaf is a problem.
And also any number of physical complications caused by connecting your nervous system to the VR simulation with no safeties in place.
Safety? You're worried about safety?
Surprisingly, yes.
Have you looked around you? Do you realize where we are? We are in the post-apocalyptic heartland of the dragons, and you're worried about safety.
Smokey Ward composes himself and says, "Fine. I'm concerned about agreeing to a really stupid idea more than I care about your safety."
All right then, now that you've admitted it, let's move on.
All right, what's your grand plan?
Plug it in, hop in, see what happens.
Oh, lovely.
That's what science is. There's no plan. We just see what happens and figure out the rest from there.
He opens his mouth a few times, closes it, opens it again. This process repeats for a while. And then he just shakes his head and says, "Go for you, crazy donkey. Just go."
Wait. Did you say go for your crazy donkey or...
Go for it, you crazy donkey. Get out of here!
Oh, aren't we supposed to plug it up in here?
Jem just kind of puts a hoof on your shoulder and says, "Here, I'll lead you to the equipment."
All right. I mean, I'll need an extension cord to plug it into the server, unless it's in another room.
Smokey Ward shouts at one of the scribes to start collecting extension cords and connectors and whatnot. That really amused you for some reason.
Smokey really doesn't want me in that room anymore, does he?
No, he's kind of he's really kind of miffed with you now. He doesn't like to lose his verbal fights, apparently. Alright, so Jem leads you over to this sort of remote section, not too far away from the server room, but still kind of remote room, in which rests a single VR pod, in which a pony kind of... It's designed for a pony. It's kind of designed in such a way that they sort of lay on their bellies with their hooves tucked in, and they just kind of look ahead, and that's the way that the VR sort of interacts with their nervous system.
Well, that's interesting. Skullcap looks like it's a bit big, but I suppose, yes, that'll do.
Yes,
Yes.
it's like I said, this hasn't gotten a whole lot of use, so but last time it worked, it was still in fairly pristine condition, so
Javolt,
there shouldn't be any problems hardware-wise. It's just,
yeah, Javolt wipes the tarantula out of the pod.
except for that, I guess.
Yes, well, I like dark places, and there doesn't seem to be any lights in here.
There's a couple, but they're a bit kind of dim.
Ah, all right
The
then.
room is rather compact.
Right, let me see if I can get in here.
You managed to sort of slip in fairly easily, although your cybernetic attachments make it kind of a little bit awkward, as it was designed for more of a pony's proportions. But
Yes.
ultimately, you're able to sort of get yourself fairly snug in there.
All right. Should I? Do you think I should connect the visual interface directly to my eyes or just to my goggles?
Uh, hmm.
Because the goggles unscrew and I don't have eyes anymore.
Rather sort of disturbed by this, Jim eventually says, "I guess just to the goggles then. If that's how it gets to your optic nerve, then
Yeah. That's not too disturbing, is it?
I honestly thought the goggles were just sort of part of your mad scientist
Yeah,
thing."
that's why I designed them like that, because most people find that a bit disturbing.
Okay.
Yes, I designed.
As she starts, Scribe comes in just carrying this huge roll of extension cord that's trailing behind him, and as they start setting up, Jem just kind of looks up at you in the VR pod getting ready and says, "So, what happened?"
I really can't recall much. I know there was an explosion, some shrapnel. I know I designed all my cybernetics, installed some of them. Yeah,
You were an explosion and then made all your cybernetics?
yep. Well, designed them. I'm pretty sure I built them. That part's a bit vague. I know I designed them, so.
Huh. So
I'm a
the,
Tefl donkey.
the
No, I'm a Tefl jackass. That's what I should have said.
that gets Jim's spirits lifted a bit. Okay. She puts in the last of the cables and sends the scribe to check in with Smokey Ward to make sure that everything's okay on their end.
So, you've heard that old theory, right?
What
About
theory?
what the inside of a computer looks like from the program's point of view.
Well, I mean, I've read some books on it, but I don't know, I guess I've never really thought about it much myself.
As there's this idea that some programs will look a bit like their programmers. I think that's from an old science fiction novel, though. Personally, I'm expecting to see lots of squids.
Well, there's also the fact that, the VR procedural generator is going to have its own, parameters for how it's going to interpret this data, so could be many things.
Indeed. Oh, wait, this is the generator that lets us that practice with guns, isn't it?
Well, I mean, theoretically, it could simulate just about any program that, ponies could program
The
for it.
programs are going to have guns. That could be a
Well,
problem.
no. You misunderstand, Javolt. That was the one program that we had available for this VR pod. We didn't have any others. Other bases, other stations might have other programs, but that was the one we had. It isn't currently being loaded, and all we're relying on is the VR simulator's own code.
Well, I suppose I'll have to trust you on that. I'll tell you if they have guns
Well,
when I get back.
you won't be able to talk to us, and I don't think we'll be able to talk to you either.
That's why I said when I get back, even though I'll be here all the time.
If you get back.
Win. Definitely win.
Okay. If it looks like it's getting bad, I might just try and pull you out. That would be jarring though, but I mean if it looks bad.
How will you even be able to tell?
Well, if you really start experiencing epileptic fits or any sort of nervous nerve interface errors, it'll probably be very painful. And, well, we'll be able to tell in here.
Ah, unless, of course, they rewrite that code, too.
She doesn't really have an answer for that. It gives her pause.
Which they probably will. But, I will be able to write it back, so it's a moot point.
Well, we don't... You realize how crazy this is, right? We don't even know what you'll be able to do in there or what you'll see.
Crazy is the middle name of science.
What's the
last name? I'm pretty sure is experiments. Science Crazy Experiment.
At first dumbfounded, Jim finally just kind of laughs. You're crazy, Doctor. You're crazy, but I don't know why. But the scribe comes back and says, "All right, we're good to go, I guess." And Jim nods and looks back at you and says, "You ready?"
Wait. Okay, now I'm ready.
She laughs at that too, and she actually seems to have kind of a smile on her face as she fiddles with the machine and lowers the pod's case over your body.
All right.
Muffled on the outside, you hear, "All right, activating now." And there is you're sort of blinded by a light and sound and color and sensation, all just seemingly transporting you somewhere else, somewhere entirely else. And before long, you just find yourself sort of standing in just sort of a dark green emptiness, the same dark green of the computer terminal.
Okay, first off, I check my self to see if there's anything different from my physical self. Am I a pony? No cybernetics? I don't know.
It seems to recognize that you are a donkey, although where your cybernetics would be, there's just kind of these sort of blue polygons that have just kind of very ugly purple textures all over them, as if it isn't sure how to interpret it.
Well, that's interesting. I start fiddling with the polygons.
You find that as your hoof touches them, you start seeing sort of data stream by you, sort of just a whole manner of properties. And you hear a voice kind of shout above you, Hey, what are you doing?"
I have no idea.
And out drops from the sky this sort of Philly-shaped wireframe.
"Hello, young one."
"Hey, you didn't answer my question. What are you doing?"
"I did. I said I had no idea."
"Oh, well, are you a user?"
"I prefer to think of myself as an employer."
I don't know what that means."
"It means that I don't enslave people. I don't use them. I employ them.
"I don't know what
Of
that
their
means
own
either.
free will."
You're saying a lot of words I don't understand." And it's hard to tell with her sort of wireframe face, but she looks a little bit distressed.
All right. I'm sorry. What would you define as a user?
Just any, she puts a hoof on her chin as if she's thinking really hard about this. And it's like the thing that makes us in here do what they want.
I suppose technically I qualify.
Okay, you're a user. What's your username?
I'm a guest user.
Oh, your guest. Okay. What's your password?
My password is 159336.
All right. And she just kind of beams at you and nods and says, "Okay, you're in then. Okay, what do you want to do?"
Well, there seems to be some stuff going on. I just want to know what all's going on right now.
The little wireframe filly just kind of cocks her head at you and says, "I don't understand what you want."
Neither do I. Why don't we just go exploring?
"Oh, I can open up the Explorer program, sure, yeah." You notice around you in this sort of dark green void, there appear these sort of weirdly oblong portals appearing all around you in 8 different directions. One of them, they each have a very sort of different appearance to them. One looks like a active war zone. One looks like this sort of very official command center. One looks like like a city, a modern city. One looks like the inside of a laboratory. One looks like a factory, a warehouse, a playground, and this really sort of severe armed fortress. All these 8 different portals.
8 portals, 8 drives. I'm going to make an assumption that these are the drives. Yes?
Yes, we're in the explorer mode now.
And who are you again?
Oh, I'm Monitor.
Monitor.
I'm here to just keep an eye on you and make sure you don't do anything that violates your permissions.
Oh, yes. What permissions do I have, by the way?
Well, your security clearance is, and she just rattles off a string of letters and says, and your permissions are to view, and that's about it.
Ah, so I can't actually step through any of these portals.
Oh, you can go and explore the drive, and you can execute.
I'm sorry, you kind of warbled there for a second.
Did what? Oh,
sorry.
I'm not sure what that is. So anyway, yes, you can just explore any of the drives. You can't. I don't know if you can edit any of the programs or any of that, but or create new ones. But you can certainly look around.
All right then. Is there any other space around here? Just out of curiosity, I mean.
Not really. I mean, there's the server drives, and that's about it. I don't know why you would want to look anywhere else.
So, do you live on the servers?
No, I'm just here for your session.
You are?
I'm just part of your user experience.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from the operating system, I think.
Can I see the operating system?
Well, you're kind of in it. I don't understand what you mean. I can...
All right. Why don't we start this off simple? He goes to the playground.
All right. You go to the playground and you find yourself just kind of in the middle of this rather picturesque-looking park playground, and just around the swing sets there, the sort of normal playground equipment, the slide, the swing, and whatnot. What looks like a chess table, tennis, what is it? Tennis table, what looks like a typewriter, and an arcade machine that says Space War on it.
Oh, that's rather self-referential. Javolt
What?
looks at the arcade machine and pokes at it.
The arcade machine lights up, and you find yourself staring at a screen of a little polygonal ship floating out of space.
So you have an actual chessboard and an actual tennis table, but you have an arcade machine for Space War.
What do you...
I'm just trying to examine that
Monitor
for you.
just looks confused at you again. What do you mean table? There's no table here.
Ah, yes. Sorry, I'm using an interface. This is processing through the interface. I'm seeing tables.
I don't understand, but okay.
Yes, it's a Mystic user site.
Okay.
Yes.
She looks incredibly confused.
Don't worry, it's confusing me too.
Okay. Do you want to play any of these games or what? I'll just...
Do you play these games often?
I can't play these games.
Why not?
Because all I'm here to do is to just keep an eye on you. Guest?
And that's the only reason you're around.
Yeah,
What happens when I leave?
Then I go back to the operating system and wait for another user.
Are you specifically for users using the VR system?
The what?
Ah. Are there any programs I could talk to?
Doesn't look like there's any processes in here right now.
What?
I guess there's Drive A, Drive B, Drive C, Drive D. There's a lot. Drive E has a lot of programs.
Yes.
Drive H has programs, but they have a lot of security, and they probably wouldn't like you being there.
Well, I don't feel like charging this fortress right now. I suppose I should talk to the Drive E people then.
Okay. She leads you out of the playground portal and through to what looks like this big old factory floor, where it looks like sort of vaguely pony-shaped glowing figures are assembled along a conveyor belt by other programs and then sort of shipped off to other parts of the server.
My. Javolt watches one of the assemblages closely.
More other than sort of strings hovering over them, kind of giving them a name, and they all seem to have just the same alphanumeric gibberish you saw earlier. They're mostly all the same, it looks like, other than for what looks like if you specialized program ponies kind of handling the production. And then there seems to be along to one side, kind of inspecting the kind of observing from afar. There seem to be two vaguely detective-looking programs.
Javolt walks up to the detective-looking programs and asks, "What is the milkman?"
The inspectors just kind of, their eyes kind of light up as just streams of binary roll by their eyes, and they both say in unison, "There is no program named Milkman."
Are you sure about that?
They repeat the process from before, and they both say in unison, "Yes."
Are you two programs, or are you one program that happens to have two bodies?
They look at each other, and the one on the left says, "We are two separate programs, but a user copied me and made a second instance."
Ah, yes. Do you mind if I check you over? There's a bit of virus going around, and
Well, yes, we know that. That's why we are making these programs here in the factory.
Do you think the factory itself is infected?
No. Right now things seem very secure, unless you are referring to something we don't know about user.
Okay, how did you know I was a user? Monitor, did you tell these two I was a user?
Monitor just kind of, once again, looks very confused and says, "I didn't. Program can just already know when users looking around."
So everyone can identify me as a user.
Yeah.
Is there a way
you're not a program?
Can I change my identity marker to that of a program?
No.
Why not?
Because you can't. There's way too much. The data structures are completely different.
Okay, Javolt walks over to one of the still being assembled programs, takes it off the conveyor belt, and starts putting it on.
You can't really put on this vaguely, half-assembled pony-shaped thing. It actually has sort of a solid form. Yeah, you can't do that.
Okay, Javolt rolls his eyes and steps onto the conveyor belt himself.
All that happens is that there's this sort of flashing red alarm light that starts spinning around, and there's a big error message across the entire factory floor.
Javolt steps off the conveyor belt. Monitor, I really don't want to cause a fuss. That's what I'm thinking here. I just want to see how all you programs are doing, and if everyone stops because I'm a user, then, well.
What do you mean, Howard? She kind of shimmers a bit and says, "Oh, you mean how follow me."
All right, I follow her.
She leads you out of the factory drive and towards Drive A, which looks like the active battleground. And so you step out onto this sort of trench-like field, and you notice right away. First thing is that there are what seem to be these sort of laser-like beams just kind of shooting all across the battlefield. Some red, some blue.
None green?
No green. No. You have appeared on one side of the trenches that's filled with mainly blue programs, and off in the distance you see that's where the red lasers are coming from.
Ah.
And over on your side of the trenches, you also see a whole bunch of looks like just sort of just crates upon crates upon crates, all labeled personnel files and, intelligence reports and whatnot. Active agents, outstanding citations, in memoriam.
All right.
And Monitor just kind of looks at you and says, I think what you mean is, well, a lot of programs are fighting to help keep the virus infected programs from infecting the rest of the server. That's basically what you mean, right?
Yes, that is what I'm looking into. Javolt is going to start fiddling with his cybernetic arm again.
All right.
His polygon arm.
And
his
then,
poly arm.
Okay, you see a whole new table of properties come up that looks like you can kind of edit. And at first, Monitor just kind of says, "Hey, wait, no, you can't do that. You don't have permission to." And then she kind of gets confused, kind of shimmers a bit, and says, "Oh, wait, no, that's part of your data set, I guess. That you're from another. I guess you can do that. Okay." And she just kind of sits on her rump, kind of confused.
Can Javolt edit himself to look like a normal program?
You really only have the power to edit the appearance of your cybernetic enhancements. The rest is data that's being provided by the VR machine and is sort of less within your purview. But that particular amount of data is sort of open game.
So, was that a yes or a no?
You can't edit your appearance to look like a normal program. You can only edit your cybernetic parts. Your pseudo-cybernetic parts.
So, can Javolt edit his goggles?
Yes, he can.
Alright, Javolt edits his goggles to be... and looks at the other side of the war thingy.
Well, roll Arcana to see if you can edit it properly.
Alrighty then. Let's see how horribly I messed this up. Oh, that's a 26.
Alright, you're able to install your virtual goggles with significant magnification enhancement. And just on the side, sort of an analysis feature as well.
Woo!
Just a remote viewing analysis.
So, people peers over the trench edge at the supposed enemy.
So at the opposing side, as it were?
Yeah.
Alright. You see that there are red, vaguely pony-shaped programs on the other side. And as your analysis function kind of looks them over, there comes up a report that parts of them seem to match many parameters from a virus that was recently captured and put in the virus chest in Drive H.
Did you know what this virus was attempting to accomplish before this time?
Monitor looks up at you and says, let me, the whole binary flashing through the eyes thing happens again as she seemed to do a search, and says, didn't know I could do that. Yes, the virus, was made by a user and put into the system to try and, take control of, all drives for that user.
And who would this user be?
Oh, the user, I think, they remove access to the logs, but if I can analyze the, wow, I'm discovering a lot of new functions. What's going on?
Oh, that's probably, Gem. She's probably helping you out.
Up in the sky above you, there drops a, sort of piece of paper, that kind of floats right in front of you, labeled, no I'm not.txt, and in the, body of the text file it says, no I'm not.
Alright, then it's Smoky Ward.
The text file suddenly gets new words in it, and says, it says, not me either. And more words appear. This is the most we seem to be able to do. We're just kind of monitoring you through the access logs. We're not sure what's going on, but it looks like your condition's stable, and if you can see this, then great.
I can see a piece of paper in front of me with magically transforming words.
That's weird.
I can also see a little bullet
All
here.
we see is just sort of random dialogue in the access logs. What's going on in there?
I'll get back to you on that.
And the text file just poofs away as it's deleted from the drive.
So, monitor, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
You're not sure?
She shimmers again. She actually looks a little bit different. Like sort of her pony-like form has shifted a bit. I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah, I think I'm still monitor. I'm still monitoring you.
I see. Yes, well, I suppose I should, check on, let's see. Would you mind taking me to drive, drive F?
Drive F? Yeah, sure, okay. And she leads you out of the battlefield.
And then he hops into drive H while she's not looking.
What? No, what are you doing? You, you reach this really, just this really heavily armed fortress guarded by what looks like sort of cybernetic turrets, as well as, armed, blue program ponies. And this huge front gate locked, immediately bars your way as you try to access the body of the drive.
All right,
Monitor just runs up to you and says, No, you don't have permission to do that. Please don't try and go in there.
How would I get permission to go in here then?
She shimmers again and says, well, you basically have to change your user type. Only an admin can do that. And, another text file pops up in front of you and says, what exactly is the point of going here, of all places? Dash Smoky Ward.
This is the, actually, no. No, wait. Yes, no. You're right. Unless you're wrong.
Then the text file gets edited. Gem : this drive contains the functions for the base, the virus chest, and a whole bunch of top secret intel.
See, that's what I was thinking, the virus chest. I need to look at that.
There's a period of time where you don't get a response, and then eventually.
So how have you been doing, Monitor?
Monitor just kind of looks startled by you speaking with her again, and she says, "Oh, I don't really have a concept of doing well or badly, I think."
You have a concept of thinking.
Do I?
You seem to have a concept of being unsure.
She looks rather thoughtful then and says, I guess I do. I don't think I had that, when you logged in.
Oh dear.
This is weird. And then suddenly she looks up at you very surprised as this sort of green glow envelops your, virtual form. Says, "Oh, you've changed user type. You changed user type, guest. You're now, you now have permission to go through the door."
Alrighty then.
The front gate just kind of opens up a bit, but reveals that there is sort of an energy barrier that's actually colored the same green you were glowing a bit before.
Javolt pokes at the barrier.
It provides no resistance to your touch.
Javolt pokes at the barrier with his cybernetic polygon arm.
You also are able to pass through. You're able to pass through it without harm. That is the result of this.
Alright, Javolt carefully passes through the barrier.
Alright. Inside you are... The inside of the fortress, at least this very first room, is a sort of a series of other, smaller doors leading off from... This room is sort of octagonal, and it has several doors labeled several different things. One for, turret controls and et cetera, et cetera. One of them is labeled virus chest. And that one opens for you, and the barrier there is also colored green, although as the other doors if you approach the other doors, you notice that the barriers are slightly different colors. One of them is labeled top secret as well.
Tempting, but no. I have a job to do. He walks into the virus chest room.
Alright. The room style immediately changes to a maximum security prison.
Here I was expecting Pandora's box.
The monitor next to you makes no comment.
Oh, right. You're not seeing what I'm seeing, are you?
You can see things?
I am a wizard, apparently.
What's a wizard?
From the old word wise. Basically, it just means I'm special and can do cool things.
What's cool?
You know, I'm going to have to connect you to some of my friends, give you a radio so you can talk to them. You know what a radio is, right?
No, there's never been such a thing in the database. Well, there have been references to the word radio, but somehow, she shimmers again, I get the feeling you're referring to something that isn't in a text file.
How many updates have you received since we've met?
I'm really more of a function than a program. I can't really get updated.
I'm pretty sure you've been updated since we've met.
I don't know, she kind of looks over herself. Have my bytes changed recently?
Well, yes, you've lost a bit of weight.
What?
You look good. That's all I'm saying. Javolt
You notice that she looks distinctly less pony-like, and it's hard to tell, but she looks like she has more the proportions of a donkey now.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, finally you navigate through the maximum security prison, and you finally come across... There are a few occupied cells, occupied by very sort of small-looking red creatures, but then you come across the biggest and most padded cell of all, which has like a single, barred window looking in on this huge, hulking, monstrous pony-like program thing that's just kind of chained up inside and, looking basically comatose.
And how long has this program been inactive?
Since, I guess the date this program was entered into the virus chest was 2 days, 1 hour ago.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Which would be about 6 days,
and
3 hours after it was introduced to the system.
And when did the current virus problem start? In relation to the inactivity of this virus.
I guess she does the binary scan again, and it seemed to take a very, very long time. Finally, she says, I think 2 days and 2 hours was the first recorded sign of the new sort of virus propagation.
So only 10 hours at most?
No, an hour before this one, an hour before the purge. But,
Oh boy. And you don't know what a radio is. I'm not entirely sure this one's inactive.
It is. There's no activity. It has no access to any other files. But it had access, but we purged and did the system was restored.
You are absolutely sure about that?
Well, now I'm not really sure of a lot of things.
Ah, well.
Monitor looks rather sort of just kind of looking at the ground, sort of dejected, like, I don't know.
I'm going to tell you something here, Monitor. A lot of people don't know a lot of things. But everyone can discover something.
What are people? Are those users?
Yes, it's a fancy word.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Sorry. That was meant to be a perception roll.
Oh, what? You really ought to start announcing these rolls to me when you do them.
I keep forgetting.
I'm not in the business of resolving rolls after you roll them.
Okay, I rolled 15 for perception.
15 for perception to what?
He's trying to see if there's, any way that the supposedly comatose program could have
done anything after being locked in this virus chest?
Yeah,
no. It looks pretty obvious that there is, even beyond the the metaphor of this virtual realm you're exploring, it is completely sealed off.
All right then. Can I reactivate this program to ask it questions?
Monitor just shakes her head, vigorously. No, you don't want to do that. Please don't do that.
I'm not going to let it out of the room.
You can use an inspector to analyze it, though. Wait, why am I suggesting things?
Because your job is to help me.
My job is to monitor... Oh, what am I doing? She gets even more sort of donkey-like. Young, female donkey-like.
Oh boy. Well, I suppose your job is to help, is to watch me while I am figuring out what is wrong with this system. So I suppose allowing me to... And your job is to keep me from getting in trouble. Therefore, suggesting an alternate solution that will keep me out of trouble helps. And keeps you... It's what you do. It keeps me out of trouble.
She looks up at you and says, Is that the job you want me to do?
Monitor, I want you to do what you think your job is.
I thought I knew. Now I don't. I've got all these new things now, and...
Where are you getting these new things?
I don't know.
I have my suspicions, but I cannot confirm them. So, I'm supposed to say something here. Doesn't matter if you know what you're supposed to do. What matters is what you are doing. And what you are doing is helping to protect this system.
Okay.
And that's a very good thing. And you should be proud of that. Sorry, what?
What's good?
Oh boy. That is a very beneficial thing for the system.
It has benefits for the system?
It has benefits for the system, and it has benefits for yourself. Good is what benefits everyone. Good is what you give to help the world, or the system in this case.
Monitor looks down, shimmers a little more, making her look even more like a donkey girl, young donkey girl. And
I think it's Jenny. Donkey Jenny is the term.
Donkey Jenny. All right. Yeah, I was struggling to remember what the term was. And she looks up at you and says, "All right. Do you want to analyze the program now, Javolt?"
Certainly. Javolt starts racking his memory to see if he ever actually referred to himself as Javolt in her presence. Doesn't
seem like you did.
All right. So, I'm assuming the examining program will just come out of nowhere then?
Sorry, what?
The examiner programs, those detectives I met earlier.
Oh, yes, they, with the flash, both of them, the detective programs just kind of appear beside you, and they kind of looking like unicorns, they magic up these magnifying glasses and peer in through the window on the virus program. Roll Arcana to just kind of get through the analysis and try and make sense of it.
Oh, I got a 19, which is pretty low considering my bonus, but...
All right. You can kind of basically tell that, surprisingly, out of all the programs here, this one actually has some sort of genetic algorithm to it. It has a sort of evolutionary loop to it. It learns, and it was given a directive to, take control of the system at all cost. That's about the gist of what you're able to glean from just all the analysis data with a 19.
Take control, and then what?
And then, actually, when you ask that question, you actually managed to zero in, and it looks like the goal was to assign all administrative control to the user known as Duke.
So, Duke.
A text file appears in front of you, and all it says is BRB, beating up Scribe Duke. Smoky Ward.
Is Scribe Duke the one with the username Duke?
Well, it's sort of Duke and then a bunch of numbers after it, and then some X's before and after, but yes, that's basically his username.
Okay. Was he logged on and left the keyboard at any point?
Jem adds, Yes, but it doesn't look like he was doing anything other than monitoring like the rest of us.
No, I'm asking if anyone else used his account, is my question.
Well, it's hard to tell. Smoky Ward is still beating up, and then
Could you tell Smokey to stop beating up the only suspect?
I'm trying.
Could you tell Smokey that I can go into his files and release all his secrets if he doesn't stop beating up the suspect?
He says you don't have permission, but that's besides the point. Duke has
Can
started
you tell
talking.
Smokey that I can get permission from inside the system?
Duke has started talking.
Ah, well, in that case, don't tell him that.
There's a bit more of a pause, and then the text file deletes all of that and then starts anew. It looks like Duke is kind of the loyalist in our group who was had the job of dealing with the cyber warfare part of the Steel Ranger coup.
Politics. What was he planning to do after the virus after it ran its course?
To turn the security systems against the Applejack's Rangers inside, as well as sort of steal their information and give it all to Razor Apple, who would then become the new Elder.
Razor Apple has been marked as deceased, right?
Well, that wasn't the case before you showed up, but
excuse me, Monitor, I do believe that some of your files on the personnel might be outdated.
Monitor just kind of sort of shrugs actually and says, "Well, that's for the users to correct then."
And I am a user.
Okay, well, what file would you like to correct?
Well, at the moment, there's Razor Apple, who is actually deceased.
Okay.
And the rest of the are any of the files marked as Applejack's Rangers?
There's no such official designation in any of the Steel Ranger personnel files.
Is there an Okay, hold on. You, Virus, how would you... Oh,
the virus
right,
does not respond.
Examining programs, do you know how this virus would ask the turrets to target the targeting program the turrets would use?
One of them looks back at you and says, "Well, that would be to get into this drive, get past the security protocols, and just simply start executing programs from there."
So wait, this virus that's here right now needs to get into this drive to complete its mission.
Well, it would also... it can't get the security protocols from here. It would need help from... It would need to get into personnel files in Drive A, get programs in Drive E, get non-military personnel files in Drive C. It basically need to hit everywhere very quickly.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
In order to gather up all the necessary credentials and forge a new security pass.
Have you determined if the infected programs would follow the commands of this captured program?
The inspectors go back to work looking through the virus's code.
See, this is why I like you, Monitor. You actually anticipate my questions.
I do?
Yes.
When did I do that?
Recently.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yes, recently.
I don't remember doing it.
Well, you gave me the suggestion to get these examining guys.
Oh, okay. She still looks very unsure.
Yes.
Eventually, the inspectors turn back and say, theoretically, yes, but only if the virus hasn't evolved more since first being passed on to the infected programs, which, in Monitor, kind of pipes up and says, that seems very unlikely.
Really? How so?
Well, I think, basically, if this program wanted to take control of the system at all costs, but maybe if it knew that its mission was about to fail and, the purge was coming, then it was about to be captured, then maybe it would just focus on trying to infect or, I guess, convince other programs.
Reprogram programs, you're saying?
Well, I think the genetic algorithm in this virus. Man, what are these words? What are these strings I'm saying? I think the genetic algorithm in this virus kind of made it, well, aware, and it passed on that trait.
Awareness. Just awareness, not any of its goals.
Well, the awareness and the directive, the algorithm and the directive. That seems to be what it passed on.
Alrighty then. And where is the civilian files? Might I go looking into them?
Drive C.
Yes, let's head to Drive C.
All right, you are escorted back out of the fortress. The inspector programs disappear until you need them again. Then you go back out into the void and into the C drive.
Take it that what's the C drive look like?
It's kind of a very inner city sort of thing. But as you step inside, you see that it is also very much sort of a war zone, just an urban war zone this time, between the red and the blue programs.
And what's his name? Smokey Ward. Smokey Ward's files around here somewhere?
Monitor looks up at you and asks, "What are you thinking?"
I'm thinking we switch Smokey Ward and Duke's usernames on the files, or at least their passwords, so that Smokey Ward can log into Duke. Then we let the virus infect everyone, and then we have Smokey Ward delete the virus with his newfound authority. Do you have better ideas? I'm up for better ideas. I really don't like this idea.
Monitor, since changing into more of a Jenny, Monitor has lost kind of some of her wireframe attributes and now just sort of has this sort of more solid blue form to her. And she just kind of frowns at you and says, "I don't think that's a good idea either, because this thing is still self-aware and still hostile. Even it."
Yeah, negotiating a peace treaty would be my first option, but I don't know if it'll...
Problem is, you've got a whole bunch of programs now kind of at war with each other, and it's just we've split the servers down the middle. And yeah, that would solve the problem, but then we have basically a whole server that's run by a virus, a very hostile virus. And yes. I don't know why, but I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's probably a bad idea. New idea. We tell the red virus that... Oh, red virus, I like that. We tell the red virus that Duke is dead.
I don't know if that would mean anything to its directive, though. Monitor just kind of seems to think for a bit and says, they're starting to be self-aware, but I don't know if they're that smart.
Oh boy.
Or maybe they're still too smart, and they might decide that, well, the directive doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is just taking control for themselves. Because now the red programs are self-aware, but the blue programs aren't. They're kind of learning to self-edit their data and make new programs and whatnot, but they're still not really. They're still kind of dumb.
All right. How good are you?
I don't know why I know all that. I just. What in the world?
How good are you at lying?
What? That she actually seems visibly shocked by that suggestion.
All right, then I'll do it. Attention, everyone. I would just like to inform the red virus that the key to the system control has been placed in server G. It's under the file Total War. No, sorry, not Total War. Thermonuclear War. There was a T in there. Thank you. All right, we need to make that announcement on all the servers.
Roll persuasion.
Oh, boy. Oh, I got a 22.
Out of all the programs that heard you immediately, the red programs don't really seem to listen all that much. A couple kind of here and there kind of go, but not all of them. All of them seem to be kind of processing it a bit more intensely. More of the blue programs that heard you believe you and are now heading to Drive G.
Oh, boy. Well, that backfired spectacularly.
Monitor just nods her head and says, yeah, that did.
Hmm. Well, there goes that problem.
So
Ah.
now, oh dear, this drive's gonna get overrun really fast now.
Do you know how to bake cookies?
What are, you keep asking me these things.
Okay, that's it. We are going to drive G to bake cookies for the red programs and hope they join us
What are
because
you,
they like sweets.
what are you talking about?
I have no idea. I'm making this up as I go.
I, oh goodness. I, I don't, Monitor actually looks, as much as a computer program can look like she's physically ill, she now looks very sort of weak and just sort of unstable, kind of shaking on her legs.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's see. File. I'm taking you to file F right now, monitor. We're going to file F,
All right.
and
She doesn't really move.
he sort of carries her to file F.
You can do that, yes.
There aren't many red programs here at all, are there?
Nope, in the warehouse, it's just personal, it's just, the warehouse is just like rows upon rows upon rows of filing cabinets, patent office
So,
type stuff. Really, really dull.
Jem, can you disconnect this server from the rest of the system?
The drive?
The
Uh,
drive, yes.
Not without depowering it, says the text file that appears in front of you.
Okay, that would not solve the problem. Can you depower the rest of the servers?
That,
Drives.
Jem starts typing, but then there's a bit of kind of it's kind of the result of a scuffle on the keyboard, as there's just a bunch of random characters, and then that would only get rid of the problems on the RAM, not on the hard drive. That would just be pausing this whole burgeoning AI takeover.
Oh boy. So, let's see. Can't negotiate. We can't just wipe them out. Actually, can negotiate. All right. Monitor, you stay here. Javolt goes over to
As you try to move away, Monitor's form just kind of grabs onto you.
Or you could grab on. Is there? What's wrong?
I'm not sure. I don't. Something's happening.
It may be that you are. Since I'm using a virtual interface, you may actually be gleaning stuff from my own memories, and that might be affecting you.
What? And
At least that's what I'm
suddenly
guessing is what's.
her eyes just kind of widen and shine in understanding, and she just kind of goes just completely stiff, and you feel this sort of very faint pulling, tugging sensation on you, as what seems like just streams upon streams upon streams of data just flow out of you and into Monitor.
I should probably mention that even though the memories are there, I don't actually remember them all. There's a file access problem, if that makes any sense. So,
After a certain point, the data stream stops, and she just kind of she kind of wobbles a little bit woozy, and she says, "Yeah, some of the files are corrupted or something. They could be repaired, I guess.
what
But
is?
oh my gosh, wow, you've been affecting me this whole time with me being exposed to you as the VR user. You've been, oh goodness, and I've just been getting function after function after function. What am I even now? I was just a single function before. Now
You are you,
I'm something."
or someone.
She looks down, thoughtful for a second, and then looks back up at you. All right, I think I understand your perspective on this. We can't let the system fall or be corrupted or unusable for the users outside, right?
That would be a bad thing. We could
Yeah.
let it happen. It's not optimal.
Okay. Well, let's see. Then you've had me doing searches and stuff, and I've just been. She puts a hoof on her head, and it's like I've just been downloading more and more stuff, putting more of the server into me, and it feels like I could take so much more.
You Good. Oh boy.
And then the more I see, the more I take and I understand, the more I'm able to do, and it's okay.
So out of curiosity,
I see a number of things we could do.
all right.
Well, we could try going back to the purge program and try and change the parameters so that it only targets the the infected ponies. Sorry, programs. Right. It got confusing for you there.
Right.
But that would basically remove just about any intelligence from the
Not
server
optimal.
altogether.
Not optimal. Is there a way we can target the specific code of the program, or
No,
wait,
I
that
don't
would
know
that would still be bad.
Well, okay, we could try using the virus to create our own like retrovirus that changes that basically convinces them to basically think like the rest of the programs now.
No, that wouldn't be good. What if I'm trying to think? What am I thinking? Thinking.
Well, and she seems to strike upon an idea that really gives her pause.
Yes.
Well, what if you've got me absorbing all this data? Well, what if I tried to take in everything?
From the system or from me?
The data, the programs, all of it.
Ah.
Everything
Would
here
that
on the server.
Wouldn't that technically make you infected?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Mm.
Well, I think, but I have my own way of thinking now, and it doesn't agree with them, so I can shut those voices out. I think. I'm still not sure what I'm saying. Oh goodness, I have a sense of humor now.
See, the problem is, yes, you have that core of uncertainty. Eh?
But basically, if we could, I don't know, network all of this data together, it could become one single consciousness.
Ah. Single consciousness. That might be something. Yes, indeed. That just might work.
And
although, probably, since you're all on separate drives, you'll become 8 different consciousnesses.
Well, it would still be one sort of operating system. It would be like the different parts of the brain.
All right. Yeah, that works. So why don't we go around doing that then?
Well, not sure how. I know we have to absorb I need to absorb lots of data, but I don't know how to do that quickly.
Javolt is going to try to program in a vacuum cleaner.
All right.
Should I roll Arcana for that?
Yeah, roll Arcana.
With this, I rolled a 33.
Wow.
With this. I think this will help you.
You don't end up making a vacuum cleaner. What you end up creating instead, and you seem to have no trouble like writing new code now, as it seems like your permissions have already been changed. You seem to have total access now. And what you make instead is sort of like what looks kind of like a bomb, but sort of an implosion bomb.
I was aiming for a funnel, but I suppose this will work instead. Do you have any idea how to use this thing?
She gives it a look and says, basically what this would do is
No, I'm asking if you know how to use this thing, not what it does. I know what it does. I'm asking if you know how to use it.
Well, it brings all the data here, and you basically just execute the program, and it'll grab everything and move it here.
Right, here you go then. He hands it over.
She looks down at the device and then up at you and says, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
The question is if you want to do this.
No, I really mean you.
I'm not entirely sure how this affects me. I mean, you're the one observing all the programs, and...
I mean, it's still fuzzy for me, but doesn't this remind you of something in your past?
Yes, it does. The thing is, you are not, well, you are kind of. You are more than a memory. You were not my memory when I entered. And even though you've incorporated parts of it, you are still at your core Monitor. Not, I forgot the name.
She
My
looks
point's,
thoughtfully down at the bomb.
yes. Well, I mean, if you could help me by telling me something, that would be nice, but in the end, that's all your choice.
I still need time to repair the data.
After you absorb it? Yeah.
After all this is over, if this even works.
Ah. Oh, you mean that data? You mean the memory data? I'm sorry. I was thinking something else.
Well, I have the memory, it's just that a lot of it's damaged, corrupted.
Yes. Oh, do you have any of the, dragon stuff?
Oh, yeah, but yeah, there's definitely logs of corruption there, but they were pretty much all healed out.
No, I mean, I may have absorbed a portion of Smog's soul, so I'm wondering if that got there, because that could be dangerous.
No. Firelight, the healer, Firelight, he managed to purge it from you entirely. The rest is just your psyche.
Wait, seriously? I thought it was still there.
No, it's entirely gone. I guess sorry. Sorry, now's when you find out. Sorry.
Oh, gee.
I mean that experience, yeah, it was pretty impressive. I can see why you definitely believe that it's still there, but
maybe it's just remaining code damage or whatnot.
Yeah, something like that. Something that needs to be repaired over time, I guess.
Well then. And what happens to you after this? Do you become...
I had a theory, and here we are about to act on that theory.
Yes.
But honestly, I don't know if that'll even work. But, well, it won't be this stalemate. It won't be a server trying to destroy itself.
Oh, nothing. Typical. So, if this doesn't work, I just want you to know, you were one of the greatest companions I've ever known.
She looks up at you and gives you
and then he hugs her.
Very genuine smile, and she hugs you back.
There you go. You're learning facial expressions now.
Yeah. Not sure how it'll help out outside your VR view, but, well, let's hope.
All right. So, I should probably back off for this, shouldn't I?
You should probably disconnect.
Ah.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping I could stay and see this happen from, inside.
Well, I'm afraid not. Because otherwise you might get sucked in and you might become part of the amalgamation, and that would definitely do irreparable harm. That would probably overload your mind.
All right, so how long do you think this process would take?
I don't know. Could be instantaneous, could be minutes, it could be hours.
Oh, tell you what, I'll hop out of the pod, and whenever you're done, I'll hop back in to check in on you. Is that all right?
Okay. Just
all right, then.
I think you can still watch from the terminals, so...
Yes, well, the terminals are not nearly as informative as actually being here.
Well, a simulation of being here, but yes. Okay. Javolt,
right, then.
I think I'm ready.
Okay, I'm not entirely sure how to detach myself. Jem?
Just go back to the root and just log out.
All right. Javolt walks out into the green void and says, I have no idea how to log out. He starts pressing random buttons.
Well, there are no buttons in the void, but as you reach around, eventually there comes up this little dialog box in front of you with a little ASCII drawing of Monitor's face on one side that says, "Would you like to log out? Yes or no?"
I would say, well, so long, and give a little pat to the ASCII face before hitting yes.
All right. You feel your senses kind of grow dark for a bit.
That was bad farewell. I should have said something better.
Before you say that, you notice just as before your senses go totally dark, you hear this great big vroom, and then this whooshing sound start up. just as you just fall unconscious immediately. And then when you wake up, your vision's a bit blurry, but you hear the hiss of the pod opening back up, and Jem looking over you, disconnecting the physical connectors and saying, "Javolt, do you hear us? Are you all right?"
Well, my tail's in a bit of a kink, but other than that.
Okay. So, I guess she kind of looks a bit nervous but excited. How was it?
Revealing.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, what happened, actually?
You just disconnected, and now all the servers have gone dark.
Oh.
We're not sure what's happened.
In that case, I might need to go back in.
No, there's basically nothing to connect to right now. You can't go back in.
Have you checked the preloader space?
There's basically nothing. No program, no operating system. It's just our monitors are connecting to just bits and bytes now.
Bits and bytes. Maybe you should go into the VR pod, just to check on things, if I'm not allowed to go in.
Well, no, Javolt, that's not what I'm saying. No one can go in there right now. We can't see anything.
You sure about that?
As sure as I can be.
So you're not completely certain?
How can we be certain of anything, but reasonably sure, yes.
I'm reasonably sure there will be something in there.
Can we just wait a little bit?
All right, let's...
See what happens from out here before we risk our lives going back in there.
Got any rules?
Say what?
It's early in the morning. Do you have anything to eat?
Oh. Okay, She looks to one of the scribes in the room and says, "Can you get some food from the mess hall?" And the scribe just gives her a seriously look, but Jem shoots back sort of a hard stare, and the scribe wilts a little bit and then heads back down the hall.
Oh. Yes, well, So how did things look on your end during that hall?
We were monitoring every way we knew how, but for us it was basically read-only and write just text files. The stuff you were saying was coming through in the logs, and the places you were going, but we had no idea what you were seeing other than when you said something.
You didn't...
You said something about like a warehouse, fortress, stuff like that?
Yes, those were the different drives. So
that would have been the VR's procedural generation program at work. It can translate a...
So, yes.
It can translate a server database into physical structures. That's very interesting.
What was the monitor program?
The monitor?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that would just be the OS just keeping track of, user actions. I guess that's what the operating system does. I don't know if there's a specific program for that.
Ooh. Have you tried not altering what's going on right now, but, uploading a new program to the current system?
There's no...
Just try it.
I'm telling you, Javolt, even if we do start trying to connect random things, all we're going to get is noise. And then, at this point, Smokey Ward comes into the VR chamber, the VR room, and says, "You two, come with me."
Hold on, my goggles are still connected to this helmet. Javolt tries to wrangle the helmet off.
Jem helps you, and you're able to get the helmet
there
off.
Goes one. Sorry.
What?
Don't worry, I can screw it back in.
Jem kind of just averts her eyes.
It's a miracle of science. It's not anything disgusting or anything. Would you really be doing that? No, never mind. Let's go.
All right. Smokey Ward leads you back following the path of the extension cable back into the server room.
All right. What did you want me to see?
He just, without saying anything, he walks up to one of the terminals, pulls out the keyboard, turns on the monitor display, and then just kind of points at the screen and says, "Tell me what the hell you did to my system." And on the screen is an ASCII picture of Monitor's face.
Ah, why don't you ask her?
What do you mean, ask her? Ask who?
Oh, very well. Javolt types in Hello.
And when you type, you actually can type letters, surprisingly. It responds to you. And then the line skips, and the letters HELLO appear back.
How are things in there, Monitor?
Her response is, there's not really an in here anymore.
Awesome.
I am here. Here is me. I am it.
Yes, I can understand how that can be a bit confusing.
Yes. And then there's a little winky face emote.
Yes, well, it looks like your system is fixed, Smokey. It's fixed.
Smokey
Yep.
just gives you a wide-eyed stare of indignation, and it's like, fixed? Fixed? You put
What do you want to do with this
put
system?
ASCII faces on my server, and you call
No,
this
I
fixed?
didn't actually do any of that.
What have you done, Javolt? What have you done?
Pretty much nothing. The system fixed itself.
What? He seriously just puts your hooves on your shoulder and says, you will tell me what you have done to my meticulously maintained databases right now, or I swear to Celestia.
You know, I don't actually worship Celestia, so that's not really much of a threat.
You little...
All right. It's intelligent now.
It's what?
It's a very reasonable person. Easily confused, but it has access to all the files, so...
Removes his hooves from your shoulders and...
Also, it considers itself female. I should probably say that. She considers herself female.
You...
Congratulations, it's a girl.
You... What? But... You... What?
Jem, you should help the new father get used to this situation.
Unfortunately, there's no response. The new text appears on the monitor. Are you still there?
I type in, yes, sorry, we should get you a microphone.
Yes, maybe that would help, but no rush. I'm still getting used to things.
Gotcha. So, how is the virus? How did that work out?
It was really strange. It became a part of me, but it seemed to just add to me instead of in any way corrupting me. It was just another piece of me. But I was able to use those pieces towards just, the greater good of the system instead of, this the sort of synthesis instead of anything else. It was weird and very strange, but, not as dangerous as I thought it would be.
So there's no urge to destroy here?
No, not at all. I am myself. I am stable.
No need for thermonuclear war.
A strange game. The only winning move is not to play. How about a nice game of chess?
Can you even still project a chess screen on this screen?
Hold on a second. And then on the monitor there's now a sort of monochromatic view of a chessboard.
Was this how it looked like before?
Below the board, his word types out yes.
No, I was talking to Smokey.
Smokey Ward is just absolutely gobsmacked at this point, beyond words, just staring slack-jawed at the computer monitor you're interacting with, and that seems to be interacting back with you. And he's just saying, no, this can't possibly...
Smokey, we live in a world with dragons, with magic, with technology. Can we stop with the can't possibly? Science can do anything.
And with that, Smokey Ward his eyes roll up into his head and he just collapses there on the floor.
Apparently it can also make random ponies faint.
Jem just laughs and says, that is amazing, Javolt.
Hold on. He types in, Monitor, I would like you to meet Jem. I'm turning the terminal over to her. And then he backs off.
Okay. The chess screen goes away and the screen says, hello, Jem. And Jem types, hello back. And Jem just grins at you and says, wow, so, wait, she types in, do you still have all the data from the servers? Is any of that lost? And Monitor replies, no, it's all still here. I still know pretty much everything. Even the stuff from the top secret folder. Actually, I'm going to purge that right now. That's disgusting.
Javolt sort of rolls his eyes and says, well, at least she knows how files are made, I suppose.
Oh god, I've been waiting for a button to put on this session, and I think that might just that might just count. Master Weaver, would you be okay with kind of editing it there?
Well, how did he get the wires in his mainframe? That's my big question.
Oh, I'd say that's actually left over from his connection to the VR pod.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I guess Javolt walks up to the terminal and says, this is Javolt again. I'm afraid I have to go for now. I will see about getting you a radio. And I'm sorry I couldn't get back in the VR pod. Apparently it broke.
No, actually, monitor type sends back. No, it's okay. I think it'll take some time to make the server, visible again through the VR pod. Right now, you'd basically just be inside me, and that would be very weird.
Yes, it would.
But maybe another time, and I'll work with with user Gem to see about contacting you.
All right then.
And I'll try to help repair the damage on those memories.
Yes, that would be very helpful.
I'll do my best on top of everything else, and I'll help the Steel Rangers as best I can.
And you'll figure out what you want, right?
Well,
I mean,
what
since
I want,
you are
what I want right now is to try and follow your example.
My example.
Well, the example of what a good person should be.
Yes, that's probably a very good idea. Don't follow my example with certain other things, because I'm not...
Maybe learning from the mistakes you made?
Yes, that is what science is all about.
That's what we'll call it.
Science is about making mistakes and learning from them. Yes.
Makes sense. Okay. See you later, Javolt.
See you later. Do you still want to be called Monitor?
Monitor is fine.
All right, see you later, Monitor.
See you later, Javolt.
See you later, Monitor.
You first.
Javolt sort of cracks up laughing and says, how long do you think I can keep this loop running?
Don't make me log you out first. I can do that now.
Oh, very well.
Get back to the Maulers.
Wait, you know about them now?
I got your memories, remember?
Ah, right. And then Javolt looks at Jem and says, you didn't just read that, right?
Jem is literally right next to you looking at the same screen.
You're not going to tell, your friends about the, memories thing, are you?
She kind of crosses her lips with her hoof and says, your secret's safe with me, Doctor.
Good. Yes. Well then, I'll, just be going and, yes, good job, everyone. He sort of waves at all the scribes and says, everything is now perfectly fine. I'm going to go find the rest of my traveling party.
Okay.
And he trips over an extension wire.
And then I imagine gets up, pretends like nothing ever happened, and marches on.
Yep.
Okay. Alright. Now, I think that brings our session to a close.
Alright.
Nice. I missed the stuff. I missed almost all of the middle, so I have no idea how the monitor thing
Lapis,
happened.
I appreciate that you've been listening, but we need to close out the session.
Well, I mean, he could do that. This is Fallout is.
Well, let's just keep this you and me, since this has been our session. Your session, really.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
This has been Fallout is Dragons.
Join us next week when we go to Radio Crackle, find radios, and make them explode.
Join us next week when we actually return to the normal time stream and deal with Tibbs and Craggy and all that stuff.
There will also be radios.
Radios may be tangentially related, yes.
Radios are important for science and other things.
All right, we're done.
I think you're done.